walked in, his eyes gleaming as he seized the opportunity. Anyone who wants to take a picture with Theo must subscribe to this channel. Theo stared at the account Suha created, filled with various expressions of himself. He only knows it's him, but he can't imagine the number of followers, which exceeds 23,000, nor does he know why there are separate photos of his chubby and pink meaty hands. Curious, he asked Suha why people want to take pictures with him after seeing the photos posted here. Thinking Theo wasn't happy, Suha apologized for not informing him earlier. For a moment, seeing him silent, she leaned close to the screen as if nearsighted. Suha worried if Theo was upset. Suddenly, he loudly exclaimed at the young girl. She had to apologize indeed. Why didn't she tell me about this sooner? But not to complain that Suha posted her photos without permission, Theo handed the phone with one hand and struck a pose with the other, cheekily telling the girl to quickly take a picture of him. Before Suha could understand, she saw Theo bending on one side, tilting on the other, his face going through all sorts of expressions from cute to pitiful, then stretching out, showcasing the advantage of his chubby and cheerful hands like fruits at the beginning of the season. Each pose of his was worth a fortune. Suha transformed into a professional photographer, snapping away, adding a little flash effect to make Theo's cat-like face smoother. From front to back, back to front, wanting to fill up the memory, Suha was satisfied. Giggling as she reviewed the newly taken photos, she continuously praised Theo for being too cute and adorable, making him chuckle and feel handsome. Not only that, without anyone's instruction, Theo knew to act as the main character for the advertising video. Anyone who wants to meet the most charming cat in this tower must come to the 38th floor. Meow. With a wink and a bright pink stubby finger extended, Theo eagerly said that whoever gave the most soup rewards would get to see it hip-hop dance too. A while later, Theo alone crossed through the forest back home, in the form of a true merchant, after a long and arduous field trip. It licked its fur with delight, silently hoping for more photo shoots the next day so it could groom its fur to look even better in photos. Before long, it heard the sound of itself slurping up the pile of soup rewards. Look at me, a classy merchant cat to the point of being able to sit in the chairman's seat. Besides getting massages, Seijun had to pamper the chairman like nurturing eggs, excited as if receiving a bomb and being taken care of by him without any time limit. What else could be said? Thinking about that, Theo tilted his head back, laughing joyfully, cheeks flushed with excitement. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind blew, flipping his cloak. He smoothed down his fur, annoyed, looking around to see what strange thing had happened, realizing it messed up his freshly groomed fur. Two wolf girls stared at Theo beneath the cloak, their faces darkening. The looming shadow cast over Theo made him nervous, changing his stance from a playful Tom and Jerry to a cautious neighbor cat. He raised his tail in fear, stammering out the word wolf. They aimed directly at him, their jaws sharp and ready. Their claws spread wide enough to terrify Theo, with another large leg towering behind them. Theo turned back to see the dangerous gaze of the wolf pack's leader, Elka, letting out a meow intending to flee but couldn't. The gray-furred claw swiftly reached towards Theo, causing him to recoil in fear. The wolf's foreleg was already larger than Theo himself, escaping the pounce. Theo shivered uncontrollably. Elka had to bend down to be at eye level with the cat, asking if he was the traveling merchant who bought the straw hat from the blacksmith's shop. Theo, trembling all over, lay prostrate on the ground, still unable to calm his trembling. Raising his head timidly, he asked, What did you say, Meow?" The slow response made Elka lose her patience, shouting in his face, demanding an immediate answer. "What did you do with the straw hat bought from the blacksmith's shop?" Her scream sent shivers through Theo's fur, not enough to intimidate him. Elka continued to roar, "If you don't answer properly, I'll tear you apart." Pinned to the ground, Theo couldn't move, his body trembling uncontrollably, tears streaming down his face in front of Elka. He shivered like a washing machine, but the wolf paid no attention, continuing to growl, demanding an answer. As she raised her claws threateningly, Theo involuntarily jumped back, dropping something onto the ground. Elka's attention shifted to the strange brown object on the grass, muttering, "What's this?" Upon realizing it was a pineapple, they noticed smoke billowing from it. Everyone leaned in closer to inspect, then quickly backed away, covering their noses. "This stinks. It stinks so bad. Did this cat hold it in for 8 days?" It looked like Theo dropped it, but in reality, he didn't, and he didn't understand why it smelled so awful. Neither did he know what to do nor where to run, just stood there covering his nose. Hidden in the smoke, a pair of bright eyes focused directly on his hand, ready to capture it. It was a dark orange arm. Despite his careful disguise, Theo recognized it instantly. No one other than Zerath he met at the blacksmith shop the day before. This foolish cat shouted, but Zerath wanted to scold him yet resisted, raising her hand in a silent gesture to alert the clueless cat. While the three big wolves were busy coughing and covering their noses, Zerath grabbed Theo's hand and ran for their lives. They ran until they were about to disappear into the forest when Elka noticed, quickly turning back to call her siblings to chase after them. Unexpectedly, Elko and Elki were lying on the ground, clutching their noses and moaning. "Help us, Elka! Our noses are about to fall off." Theo couldn't believe his eyes. These two idiots didn't even know. How did they escape from the smelly area? Elka sighed heavily, holding his gray-furred forehead, and the mission was considered failed. Zerath ran Theo so far that they couldn't run anymore before stopping, panting heavily in the silent forest. Even a detective like her had to remove her face mask, feeling lucky that the wolves didn't chase after them. After catching their breath, Theo thanked her immediately. Contrary to her usual stern demeanor, Zerath gently said it was nothing, considering it a repayment for Theo saving her last time. This time, Theo was deeply moved to have saved his life, patting Zerath's shoulder enthusiastically, insisting on repaying her somehow, perhaps with his favorite dish like grilled fish. Zerath realized this was an opportunity to get closer to the cat, so she proposed to accompany Theo on every journey without needing any fish or rice. She said she wanted to personally see Theo's teaching like the previous day, and Zerath successfully persuaded the easygoing cat. It agreed immediately, asking the fox to join it on the journey. After receiving Zerath's thanks, Theo said they needed to go shopping to submit an application for an upgrade to the intermediate travel merchant. The fox nodded, leading it in another direction, saying she knew a shortcut to get there faster than usual. Suddenly, Zerath turned back, hastily asking if he had just mentioned upgrading to an intermediate merchant, but he had only been a traveling cat for a few months. Panicked, she immediately covered her mouth, realizing she had slipped up, every word falling into Theo's ears. It asked surprisingly how she knew he was a new merchant. Her mind scrambled, reminding herself not to reveal her identity as a Tower Challenge agent. Seeing Zerath's silence persist, Theo's face turned pale again, suspiciously crossing his arms and staring at her intently, muttering in doubt, that's odd." Reluctantly, she hesitated to explain. The hot-headed cat suddenly burst out, "Our intelligence bureau immediately." To her surprise, Theo honestly replied, "I sold heirloom tomatoes." Zerath was stunned, unable to believe her ears. Heirloom tomatoes can make money? But Theo's face didn't seem to be joking, so Zerath had to ask, are those the small, round, red tomatoes?" Theo confirmed, rummaging through his bag to find one left for the fox to see, but found none. He sold 500 tomatoes at once, so there's nothing left to prove. Despite not lying, Theo comfortably overlooked the matter and asked Zerath to lead the way. He needed to seize the remaining time to claim rights to that prehistoric den again. Only Zerath remained standing there, wondering how on earth selling heirloom tomatoes could earn 1,000 tower coins. Whether the heirloom tomatoes were plated with 24K gold or inlaid with diamonds, she didn't know, deciding to follow the cat to see what magic it pulled off to dig up that much money. Maintaining a serious expression, Zerath felt suspicious, silently accompanying Theo to the shopping street. Indeed, thanks to the power of money, Theo had just left the 38th floor not long ago, and the heirloom tomato had found its way into the mouth of someone on American soil. As Michael chewed, he muttered, "Does this reduce 20 grams of fat for real? And the effect is twice that of grade E tomatoes of the same kind. The taste is much stronger, surprising indeed." Swallowing it down, he turned to call Jenny and asked if there were results from planting this outside the tower. She immediately placed an order for a pot of heirloom tomatoes as a sample. Seeing the assistant manager with a pre-knowing face, Jenny said, "As you can see, we've planted them, but they've grown into normal heirloom tomatoes found in the market." He looked at the ripe red tomatoes, asking again, "Isn't it because they are tower items that they can't be grown outside?" So, how were the results of the experiment growing them inside the tower? With a tilted face looking at Michael with interest, she bluntly asked if he forgot she was the CEO of Easter. "Enough sunlight. Flowers will bloom. Enough ingredients. I will make things happen," she replied confidently. Jenny proudly informed that her team had sown 100 grade E tomato seeds on the ground floor of the tower, and 10 plants among them had successfully flowered, fruited, and were about to be harvested. Needless to say, Michael was excited to the extent, praising her excessively, thanking the CEO for using Gagel's technology. That's not all, Jenny proudly announced. It won't take long for the fruit set rate to reach 50% of the total seeds sown, satisfying Michael greatly. As Jenny asked about the Tower Farm investment project, he chuckled and said it had been approved, baby. Gagel Company had recruited many awakened individuals to participate in farming and repelling monsters around. By now, they had recruited quite a few members. The future looks as bright as the noonday sun. Michael trusted that his long-awaited project would soon be operational, bringing a heap of benefits to him and the company. He sincerely thanked the magical heirloom tomatoes for propelling the food company to a new horizon. But little did he know to thank the hard-working farmer Sejin and his diligent bees and rabbits, who are now slowly losing their creative products into someone else's hands. Upon arriving at the shopping street, Theo immediately went to apply for a mid-level merchant upgrade. Shortly after, the staff pushed a silver mid-level merchant badge to the cat, congratulating it on successfully being recognized as mid-level. Theo happily held the shiny badge, thanked the cute deer, unable to contain its excitement, loudly exclaiming, "I'm a mid-level merchant now, meow meow meow." Its eyes smiled like crescent moons, making Zerath feel the need to congratulate continuously. Theo immediately put it on its neck, saying it would go straight to the market to buy some necessary items. Hiding a serious face under the layer of clothes, Zerath silently remembered the market reserved exclusively for mid-level merchants. If it were just an ordinary market, it wouldn't be worth mentioning, but Zerath knew it was a place where mid-level traveling merchants could showcase their skills to the fullest. The auction house must be mentioned, where creatures brought items obtained from farmers or workshops on each floor to sell. Many people gathered there, ready to pay for rare and unusual items. As long as they had money, merchants loved it. Sometimes, a lucky deal could sell a lot of goods one brought along, with very little risk of loss. Following behind the cat, Zerath wondered if Theo's personality was suitable for that place. The place was like a chaotic battlefield, where a split second could make one lose the coveted item. Different from the shop full of junk they visited the other day, so she was very curious, not knowing what tricks this cat would play. As they walked, Theo suddenly pointed to a spot ahead, saying they needed to stop and buy some items here. Looking up, Zerath saw a wooden door shop that looked very ordinary. It's a grocery store, no wonder. It's not only sold snacks and soft drinks, but also sold all kinds of miscellaneous items. In no time, Theo placed a handsaw, a roll of knitting yarn full of needles, and an oversized pot along with a pan on the wooden table. Counted the items it needed to buy. It seemed to buy them for Sejin. Zerath was very puzzled, thinking, wasn't he here to buy wholesale to sell retail on other floors? It frowned at this fox with a strange look. I already said I'm selling magic tomatoes, not buying and reselling items, right? Magic tomatoes again. Zerath felt confused listening to it, not sure if there was something wrong with herself or this cat. Initially, she thought following it would learn many top-notch skills, but who would have thought Theo kept going on about magic tomatoes? Not until the shopkeeper said it's all 2 coins, did Zerath glance quickly at the pile of items Theo just bought and was startled. What's so special about this shoddy pot? Even if you add up all the items the cat ordered on the table, it's not even 2 coins. Clearly, this grocery store owner is trying to overcharge. Suddenly, in Zerath's imagination, this shopkeeper wasn't any different from a monster shouting bids and laughing. Come on, quickly give me your money. And her Theo was like a warrior, needing to fight monsters to get the items. Zerath swallowed nervously, tensely waiting to see how this cat would handle defeating the monster. Perhaps it would engage in combat with the owner, or would there be a fiery battle to force him to lower the price? To her surprise, Theo just meowed loudly, changing to a pleading tone with the owner, asking for a discount. Zerath couldn't believe Theo turned out to be a cat with principles, persistently asking for a discount like this. Last time, it used the same trick, but this is the shopping street of mid-level merchants. It couldn't be as easy as the lower floor. Looking at the shopkeeper's fake face saying to Theo that this price is already wholesale, he would lose money if he sold it to him any cheaper. Not a single coin of profit. Zerath saw that Theo had no chance of lowering the price by half, as it usually did. Indeed, the shopkeeper said he would only take 2 coins and 2, reducing the selling price to attract customers. Maybe they would come back to buy more later. Zerath didn't dare to negotiate, but she knew the tricks of those salesmen, shouting higher prices all day, and then manipulating customers' psychology by lowering prices significantly. She hoped Theo could be more alert, not agreeing to such sky-high prices just because of a few words from the owner. Speaking of which, Zerath was also afraid the owner would scold Theo, "Buy it or leave. If you're not buying, get out." Clearly, he was a shrewd businessman, not a fool. The sound of Theo's meow brought Zerath back to reality. It had just knocked out the price-shouting monster with 2 loud claps on the table. Without reasoning with the shop owner, it persistently demanded a discount. "Lower the price, lower the price." He awkwardly tried to stop the cat, explaining that he already sold at wholesale prices. "Nowhere sells cheaper than this," Theo asked in a meowing tone. "Is that true, sir? Then let's go, Zerath." It turned back to the shop owner, then told her fox to leave with it right away without any regret, startling him. How could Zerath understand these tricks? She worried. "Aren't you going to negotiate anymore?" "Well, the shopkeeper said it's the final price. What else is there to negotiate? Let's go." Theo's words entered the shop owner's ears, knowing he encountered a stubborn one, so he sighed and said, "Okay, come back here, I'll sell it to you. 2 coins, correct?" It seemed harmless and innocent earlier, but it turned out to be a smart trickster, fooling the shopkeeper. Theo glanced back at the shop owner and smiled as if knowing it all, extending its claws and saying, "Just 1 coin and 8. Either you sell it to me, or I'm leaving right now, not coming back." He was stunned for a moment, but then agreed, 1 coin and 8 it is. Take the goods and leave. Only then did Theo innocently thank him. "Thank you, sir." Despite the money being handed over right in front of her, Zerath was still standing there in a daze, not understanding what she had just witnessed. Wait, what kind of bargaining technique was that? The beginning had nothing but continuous meows, and the end was just one sentence. "Are you selling or not? If not, I'm leaving." Yet, this traveling cat truly completely defeated the experienced shop owner, using its clever tricks to squeeze money out of him. Wow. In Zerath's eyes, Theo's image had changed into a warrior who defeated a huge monster, even though initially unmatched. It was indeed a glorious victory. Zerath's horizons were broadened, wondering why, despite receiving proper upbringing from her family, she had never been able to win a verbal battle effectively like this. If she had come here alone, the shopkeeper only needed to lower the price to 2 coins, and she would have wanted to kneel down and thank him. How could she negotiate further like Theo did? Here, Zerath looked at the chubby cat with suspicion. Did it really earn 1,000 coins by selling buy tomatoes like that? Was she witnessing the magical moments of the greatest skilled traveling merchant in history? Theo didn't know what was on this fox's mind. It walked out and asked her to come along. Only Theo was immersed in joy, not because it learned the bargaining secrets at bustling markets, but because Seijun reminded it to negotiate 3 times before closing the deal. Initially surprised, now Theo wasn't afraid to learn, so it could confidently close the deal, as its human said. They left the shopping area, walking together on the cobblestone street of the commercial district. Seeing that it was getting late, Zerath bid farewell to Theo, saying they would meet again tomorrow. It cheerfully asked why she was leaving so early. "Have dinner with it. It's treating today." One couldn't always shadow Theo to learn business tricks, as it was a special agent, so politely declined, and mentioned how today it had learned many wonderful things, thanking him for the opportunity to reassess its own pride. Theo didn't understand what Zerath meant, wondering what it had done for her to sound so appreciative. Without explaining, Zerath just smiled gently, bidding farewell and reminding Theo to be careful of the silver wolves, not to get involved with them so they could meet again next time. After saying that, Zerath turned to find her way back to her special agent office. Theo didn't linger either, just stood there muttering to itself, truly a peculiar fox. But it also needed to go back, tired from days of walking. Stretching and yawning loudly, Theo was eager to return to Seijun's prehistoric den, eat and sleep deeply, hoping for a nap until the next day. Right after bidding farewell to Theo, Zerath immediately went into her special agent office, busily writing a lengthy report. Pouring out all her thoughts onto paper, she could finally lean back in her chair and rest for a bit. Accompanying Theo all day was truly exhausting, and now she had to work without a break. But no sooner had she settled than someone pushed the door open, saying the director wanted to schedule a meeting with her. It mainly concerned the theft case of Grid, the landlord. Should she inform the director she was busy? Zerath handed a piece of paper to the white dog assistant, asking her to inform the boss that she would visit the office soon. And this paper contained a report on the traveling merchant Fox under suspicion. Putting on her uniform, she reminded to send this document to the street managers of the traveling merchant, instructing them to remove this person from the monitored subjects. The sparkling eyes of the white dog stared at it, curiously flipping through the paper, asking if the person Zareth mentioned was the one who stole the straw hat yesterday. Sure enough, beneath Theo's picture were captions: negotiation warrior, deal closer master, shopping expert, and brief lines about the cat's journey during the day. Zareth put on her hat, explaining with a trembling voice, "It's been a long time since I met a talented traveling merchant like him." Her eyes brightened when mentioning Theo, no longer showing disdain for the cat as before. On the distant 99th floor, where Theo still had a long way to go, Sejun was covering the ground with layers of corn husks. With the help of the Red Bear assistant, lifting stacks of corn husks, Sejun managed to cover most of the sown areas. He wiped the sweat from his forehead, muttering that this time probably wouldn't fail. The mother bear was patrolling around, so no enemy would dare to approach. Standing there, looking at today's achievements, Sejun felt proud of the amount of corn and bai tomatoes planted today. Finally, he felt he could expand the farm outside the prehistoric den. Suddenly, he noticed the rabbit watering the plants here, struggling without any water coming out of the can. The watering can seemed like a skill, allowing the rabbit to water without limits. Approaching, Sejun saw a worried expression on the rabbit's face. Without resolving the watering issue, Ink popped up with a frightened expression. It seemed like it had seen a ghost and was eager to tell the tale. The friend who followed right behind him also has something to say. However, the way these two recounted the story was quite different, leaving Sejun puzzled for a moment until he finally understood why Ink seemed so alarmed. "You mean that lake?" Sejun crawled down into the cave with the two kids and the extremely cautious rabbits, looking down at the lake full of dark shadows below. Dio lay sprawled on his shoulders, eager for the story, quickly spotting an entire school of cute red-shelled crustaceans under the water's surface. It's freshwater shrimp." Sejun immediately realized the reason for Ink's alarm. Surely the black rabbit had never seen this species before, and it must have assessed this large shrimp group as a threat to its farm. Moreover, they were numerous, and each one was quite large. Sejun leaned forward to get a closer look beneath the water's surface, wondering if they were emerging from the hole at the bottom of. Above all, he wanted to know how many shrimp he could catch. An excellently prepared shrimp lying on a plate was enough to make him drool uncontrollably. He murmured, although he hadn't eaten shrimp because he was poor. But constantly plowing through YouTube videos was enough to make Sejun imagine how delicious this dish would be once prepared. Its flavor and aroma would surely make him exclaim, "Oh my god." Sejun's enticing narrative made the rabbits drool with excitement, so he turned to Ink and urged it to quickly catch them. Its and Du's faces were extremely distressed. There were so many of them. How could they catch them now? Sejun drew his dagger that he carried with him for credibility. Repeatedly mentioning how delicious they were, he encouraged Ink to give them a try. Taking food as motivation, Ink pulled out its magical hammer from its pocket, raised it high, and piped. The rabbits and Du flew up eagerly, giving the stage to Sejun's children to showcase their talents. They couldn't miss the opportunity to eat such nutritious protein. These shrimp seemed to not be attracted to light and jump onto the shore like piranhas. Both Sejun and Ink probably had to work hard to catch them here. But for the evening's nutrition for the whole family, both were ready. Sejun plunged into the water first, tightly gripping his sharp knife, as the rabbits on the shore watched eagerly. The shrimp swimming beneath the water's surface looked dangerous. Indeed, when they detected a human intruder, they immediately targeted him, and the whole group lunged towards him simultaneously, wanting to catch Sejun all at once. Unfortunately, he wasn't a weak farmer. A few well-aimed strikes, and he managed to hit them all at once. The status window popped up with a tingling sound, announcing the successful defeat of the river shrimp, earning him 30 experience points, which made him very happy. Yelling out loudly, "Ink, where's your handling of it for me?" The little one with its big hammer jumped up, delivering a blow that sent the shrimp flying out of range, falling back into the lake. They rolled their eyes and fell down. The rabbit family was waiting at home, ready to take them to the sickle rabbit for work. The mother rabbit and her golden-haired offspring were very excited to see the rabbit preparing to fish for crayfish, curious to see his skills. Unfortunately, Sickle touched the shells of the river shrimp, making a clinking sound similar to metal hitting metal. It turned helplessly, shaking its head, signaling for help to Seijun, who was holding 2 dead shrimp. Oh, he remembered that this sickle was probably only for cutting crops. The shrimp shells were much harder and couldn't be cut live. Seijun suggested trying to cook them first and then cut them. The rabbits gathered the shrimp for Seijun, who was sitting wrapping onions. His versatile onions could wrap anything, not sure if these shrimp would smell of onions. Inside the cave, a large fire was blazing. All the rolled onion blocks were stuffed directly onto the fire, emitting a strong, tantalizing aroma. Seijun wiped his drooling mouth. He hadn't smelled such a delicious aroma in a long time. So craving. The rabbits, encountering this scent for the first time, were salivating, not to mention him who had never tried it before. After a while, Seijun took one out, eager to see if they were cooked yet. These shells were tougher than usual, requiring more roasting time than potatoes, but the result was extremely worthwhile. The shiny red shells on the beautiful onion rolls looked amazing, perfect 10 points. The system quickly caught on to the trend, explaining that this was grilled shrimp wrapped in onion leaves, served with corn and tomatoes. The salty taste of the broth soaked into each piece of meat, bringing a rich and unforgettable flavor. Holding one up, Seijun told the rabbits to come and watch him demonstrate how to eat a shrimp. Starting with one hand holding the head and the other the tail, Seijun performed the exquisite technique of twisting and then separated the head from the body. Opening up the golden flesh inside, the rabbits all exclaimed in amazement. But Seijun's craving sound was louder than all of them. Looking at the flesh neatly displayed before him, he exclaimed, "Oh my God, look at that!" The delicious aroma filled the rabbits' mouths. They cheered as Seijun divided the body parts, each of them even getting a whole shrimp. Taking a bite, the delicious flavor flooded into every crevice between their teeth. Seeing their satisfied faces, he reminded them, "Remember, rabbits in the tower don't eat vegetarian." Seeing the little ones enjoying themselves, Seijun nodded in agreement. No need for any seasoning. Fresh shrimp alone was enough to make one happy. Seeing the mother rabbit curious but not eating, Seijun stopped it immediately, saying, "Hey, don't throw it away. I have to keep that." The mother rabbit didn't understand, so Seijun had to explain. He dipped a part of the shrimp meat in it and said, "Look here, can you see the organs inside the shrimp's head? This is the VIP Pro way of eating." Lifting the shrimp meat soaked in that greenish color, Seijun exclaimed, "Oh my God, this is the real deal. Flavorful meat and sweet bone marrow. How can you resist?" Standing next to him, Ink saw him put that weird thing in his mouth and chewed, his face looking satisfied but also strange. "Why does the little cousin look like this is better than shrimp meat? Do you want to try it, little one?" Seijun handed the shrimp head back to Ink to take a sniff. It sniffed it, its face filled with doubt. It hesitated for a long time but still followed Seijun's instructions to put it in its mouth. Suddenly, the rich flavor made the rabbit's ears twitch incessantly, its mouth exclaiming "pie, pie, pie" with excitement, its eyes sparkling as if it had never tasted anything this delicious in its life. No need to say, Seijun was overjoyed to see Ink burying its face in the shrimp head, telling it to eat slowly, as there were plenty of shrimp heads. The rabbits were busy dividing the shrimp meat among themselves, with Chubby even creatively adding carrots for extra flavor. Seijun always handed shrimp heads to Ink. Look at it, he even sucked the brains out of the head in one go. The whole rabbit family was busy with the new dish, Pee-Pee Papa attracting the attention of the big red bear, who was grunting several times, craving from the mouth of the cave. Seijun looked up at it, telling it to wait a moment. He would bring it up. "Don't lean too far, or you might fall." Luckily, this bear could smell the aroma, or else Seijun might have forgotten this food mouth. Later, those sparkling eyes saw the grilled shrimp stacked on top of each other. Seijun knew Cook could break the shrimp itself. He was about to show it how to twist the shrimp's tail. Cook had picked up a shrimp still in its shell and put it straight into its mouth with joy. Watching it chew crisply, its face full of satisfaction, Seijun sweated, asking if it was delicious. It said yes, even reaching for another one, making him realize that the shrimp shell indeed had a lot of nutrients. It must taste very good. In the suburban area of the tower's second floor, next to the lush forest, is a village burning to ashes. Black smoke billowing up with the wind. Mixed within are screams and the sounds of people running from the warriors' massacre. They flee in chaos into the forest, trying to escape without order or intention to resist. Those unfortunate to be unable to run fast enough or stumble behind can only face death as the warriors rush forward to easily chop off their heads. A decapitated head without a body can still live, but when the head falls to the ground and rolls to those expensive leather shoes, If stepped on and crushed, it won't live anymore. Michael, hands in pockets, proudly looks down at the shattered jaw under his feet and chuckles. Walking straight to where the warrior was, he sarcastically praises how smoothly everything seems to be going here. Doesn't it? The soldier sheathed his sword, leading Michael and the others on a tour around the recently cleaned-up Skull Village. You see, currently, we have mobilized all the hired soldiers to participate, and we have already wiped out more than half of this Skull Village on the second floor. Not showing satisfaction, Michael even made an unhappy face, asking why only half. Seeing that awkwardness, he also asked when it would all be over, estimating the time to see. Pressing the buttons on the system board, Michael listened as the other person analyzed that it also depended on the area the gentleman wanted to sweep and the rank of the hired soldiers. But according to the feasible rate, it would take about a few months. As he was speaking, he suddenly stopped when he saw a window popping up in front of him, displaying some unfamiliar faces. Michael explained that these were people indebted to his conglomerate, given a ticket into the tower and becoming awakening pretenders, now signing indefinite contracts to work for Gagel in this tower. Before turning away, he also warned that these people would never leave, so there would be enough manpower to expand the territory, right? I'm only giving you a week. Focus on the farm area. Who said making the rich happy? I find it miserable, nearly dying. People need a few months to finish, but this boss gives only 1 week. Ahead, someone had been waiting for Michael for a long time. Wearing a white vest is someone from the product development research room, wanting the director to see if the Bai tomatoes planted here are ready for harvest. If he wants, he can try a piece. Looking at the slightly misshapen cluster of ripe tomatoes, Michael finally cracked a pleased smile. It's finally time for the harvest. He reached out and plucked one nearest to him, the smile suddenly fading as no information panel was displayed. Even though he anticipated this tomato wouldn't be a magical item, it's still good that it's ripe. Michael wanted to immediately taste its flavor, so he put it straight into his mouth, closing his eyes and chewing it thoroughly. Surely, the taste in the mouth must be better than ordinary tomatoes, right? Suddenly, his face turned pale. His mouth uttered a terrifying sound. His eyes widened, then he bent down, continuously vomiting. The doctors standing nearby saw the director vomiting continuously and were scared stiff, rushing over to ask what was wrong. Michael raised his head and asked, "What the hell? What's going on?" But those in the research room didn't understand what he meant until he got so angry he plucked a tomato and held it up, shouting that this thing didn't taste like anything. But they still didn't understand. They had to try eating it to see, even though it looked like a tomato but had no taste. Very quickly, someone vomited, and even Orange Hair, the head of the research department, couldn't believe it. We've added the highest quality nutrients, so why does it have absolutely no taste like this? An employee opened the information sheet, hesitantly announcing all the ingredients of this fruit, all of which were below the minimum standard, none of them meeting the lowest standards of fruit on the market. Hearing this, Michael was furious, grabbing a tomato nearest to him, throwing it to the ground and stomping on it repeatedly in anger. He wanted to see what he had just eaten, and when he lifted his foot, he was astonished to the point of disbelief. Oh my, a tomato without seeds, only a flattened skin and water flowing from the inside, not even any flesh. Sejun's prehistoric cave on the 99th floor under the bright sun. In reality, it was already evening. He covered his eyes with onion leaves, lying lazily on the grass mat, completely unaware that on the field covered with his own corn leaves, a black hoof suddenly stomped down forcefully. Ox 3 finally found the land he had been searching for. After days of effort, as soon as he arrived, he plopped down and picked up a pile of leaves. It was a bit annoyed at taking so long to get there, but when it got to chew the corn leaves, it smiled innocently. Oh my, the grass was so sweet to the teeth. It was predicted that Sejun's field would once again lose all its shade leaves today. After cleaning up the Skull Village, the mercenaries left behind a few houses that looked more dignified, serving as accommodation for Gagel Company's research personnel when needed. The empty wooden house, with only a bright red tomato on a white porcelain plate, stood out in front of Michael. He stared at the tomato, murmuring seedless, no seeds. As a vice president of a food company, Michael knew that without seeds, there was no way to improve this plant breed. Not to mention farming would be even more hypothetical. Among countless thoughts in his golden head, Michael seized the most feasible one. Although he didn't want to believe it, his mind involuntarily raced back to memories from 10 years ago, a time when Michael was first fortunate enough to be teleported inside the tower, awakening his abilities when he still wore his full suit on the way home from work. The young man back then chose to be a swordsman with the typical confusion of an office worker. Now he had to choose to fight and team up with those he once didn't even know who they were. Over time, he gradually got used to life inside the tower. However, during his time as a warrior and traversing through the floors, Michael knew that his youthful eyes had always been filled with fantasies of seeing vast and rich lands within the mysterious tower. Places with mild climates, lush greenery, and a sun that never sets. Michael discovered many areas with moist, fertile soil of excellent quality for sowing various seeds. The young man joyfully held the soil in his hands, realizing that if he could grow crops inside the tower, contributing to a more diverse global food market would no longer be a distant dream. But that was before that happened. When he became a warrior with a certain rank, Michael was chosen to leave the tower whenever he wished. Returning to the United States for the first time, the young man went to the company to persuade his father to invest in his idea. Everything was easy and smooth at that time. His father's nod made everything seem brighter and full of hope. And that was when the project to grow crops inside the tower began, with all kinds of fertilizers, seeds, and conditions brought from outside. Thanks to his father's funding, Michael had enough manpower to support his plan. But then an unforeseen problem arose. After months of waiting, the land that was once evaluated as fertile did not yield any crops. Why was that? Michael crawled on the barren ground. Why didn't any seeds sprout? He cursed the heavens and the earth, not knowing how much money he had poured into this place. Despite trying countless different seeds year-round, Michael also strived to create the best environment for germination. So why weren't any seeds sprouting at all, dear heavens? After a while, the national news channel reported research results showing that awakeners might experience a decrease in their abilities as soon as they set foot in the tower. This was considered a side effect of suddenly receiving a large amount of mana, and most individuals' productivity could only recover after surpassing the 10th floor. The news shocked not only Michael, but also all viewers, because everyone knew the first 10 floors were where various types of chickens were bred, and climbing all 10 floors to regain abilities wasn't easy. But what concerned Michael the most was that even plants shared the same fate, their reproductive capabilities significantly reduced. There was no way for imported seeds to absorb properties like those already present in the tower. So Michael spent time wandering and consulting with traveling merchants to find a different direction. He reckoned he could use the seeds from the crops inside the tower and upgrade them. Thinking seeds were peddled as widely as grub and swig. The peddler, taken aback, asked again, "Seeds, you say? I don't sell that stuff. It's monopolized by a guy named Grid on the 55th floor." That news hit Michael like a bolt out of the blue, because at that time he had just barely made it to the 10th floor. Having spent so much money without results, Michael gradually became seen as a useless son in his father's eyes and endured the cold shoulder of the company's management for a long time. With no other options, Michael blamed all his failures on his youthful inexperience. Standing before the towering tower, darker than this dog poop, Michael saw his dream of farming inside the tower completely collapse beneath his feet. But he never gave up. Clearly, 10 years later, middle-aged Michael was sitting in front of the blue tomato murmuring, unable to let things turn out like this. Standing up immediately, he ordered the waiting staff on the other side, "Get all the hunters up to the 38th floor quickly." Without understanding anything, Michael hurriedly placed a large, heavy bag on the table, drawing the attention of everyone present. With a determined face, he no longer cared how much money he would invest in this project. "Go buy all the magic-grade blue tomatoes from that traveling cat merchant and bring them here for me, by any means necessary. Any method will do." Looking at the failed blue tomato in his hand, Michael planned that if grade E didn't work, he would try planting magic-grade blue tomatoes to see what happened. Perhaps the results will be completely different when using seeds from a higher-grade fruit. Michael's heart was once again filled with hope. Now squeezing the seedless tomato in his hand, he suddenly felt his heart ablaze with the fire of youth. This time, Michael must obtain grade D blue tomatoes. Unable to achieve all his past dreams, now he would prove he was completely capable. Casually walking along the forest path leading to Sejin's prehistoric cave, not knowing how many lurkers were waiting for him to return. Suddenly, it saw many long, dark green leaves falling on the ground. Surprised, it approached to pick them up. These weren't the onions Seijin was growing. Why were they here? Thinking they were blown away by the wind, it stepped back to gather each strand into a small bundle in its hand. While looking down, it didn't notice and bumped its head into a black object in front of it. Ox 3 was enjoying the sweet taste of the onion leaves when it unhappily turned to look at the intruder who disrupted its meal. Rubbing its swollen head, it raised its head to see the blurry figure until Ox 3, while munching, asked, "Hey, traveling cat?" Facing the cow directly, Theo interrogated, "Hey you, where did you get what you're chewing?" It didn't understand why a cat would ask where it got grass from, but still pointed in the distance, saying it found it abandoned on the ground, so it picked it up. Talking nonsense, the cat extended its claws and loudly pointed at Ox 3, scolding. "Those are precious leaves that Lord Seijin always cherishes. Do you know that? It's impossible for them to be carelessly abandoned on the ground, meow. In the cave, we use onion leaves as bowls for food, even braid them together as ropes. Those are all precious onion strands that are occasionally cherished, only used to wipe our butts after using the toilet, understand? How dare you steal precious onion leaves?" Ox 3 heard the sudden accusations from the cat and couldn't find a way to retort, but it couldn't accept being accused of being a thief. Immediately angry, it punched the ground hard, shattering it, roaring moo. "Are you accusing a Minotaur warrior like me of theft? One who lives and dies by honor. I, a Minotaur, steal? I won't forgive you, even if you're a traveling cat. If you dare insult a warrior like me." The moo echoed loudly as the massive figure cast a shadow over the small cat, making Theo grip the ground with its 4 paws, but it still bravely retorted, "Meow, I'm not lying." As if strengthened by its own words, it stood up again, pointing at Ox 3. "Let's go ask Lord Park Sejun to see who's right and who's wrong." Meow! "Okay, I'm fine." Moo. Ox 3 also wants to know who the owner of the delicious grass it's eating is, agreeing to follow it right away. Nodding like a seasoned guide, it loudly suggested tagging along. So Ox 3 had to make an effort to slow down to keep up with Theo's pace. It trailed the cat, confident that Park Sejun had discarded that pile of grass no longer needed. Otherwise, why would such fresh grass be strewn about the ground? Thinking about the initial command error in finding the grass's growth spot, now it was sure to praise itself for discovering its planter. Surely, it would continue to praise itself more. Ox 3's eyes sparkled with anticipation of meeting Park Sejun, but little did it know, this time was considered nighttime, so the lad was sound asleep as usual. Theo's snores echoed from above. Director 1, 2, 3, 4, making saliva on its mouth stop flowing. Before he could fully wake up, the chubby figure leaped straight onto the kind farmer's belly, making Seijun think he had just vomited up all his dinner. He clutched his aching stomach, groaning, while Theo's urging voice echoed incessantly in his ear. Now was not the time to lie writhing on the ground anymore. He had to hurry up and follow me outside. Meow! So what's going on? Seijun endured the pain, still crouching on the ground, but turned to ask Theo what was so serious. As if waiting to be asked, its face filled with pride, it confidently placed its hand on its chest and said, "I just caught a thief." Meow. A thief? Did I lose anything stolen? Seijun, puzzled but still swung along with Theo up the rope ladder. As soon as they emerged from the cave, a dark shadow loomed over them, staring menacingly, frightening Seijun to death. His face turned pale, stuttering. Theo, is this the thief you're talking about?" Theo, standing on Sane's shoulder, fearlessly, jumping down to the ground, it immediately pointed to the black cow and said, "It's him. Quickly go catch him." Seeing Seijun standing dumbfounded, Theo had to pick up the onion leaves again to explain to him. "Look here, this black cow stole your grass. Meow." Starting to understand the situation, Seijun held the withered onion in Theo's hand. This wasn't the onion he planted in the sweet potato field, right? Ox 3 quickly defended itself, saying it only picked it up from the ground. Why would you throw it away? How could good grass suddenly fall all over the ground? The system helped Seijun recognize this as a minotaur, reminding him this seemed to be the noisy creature from the previous night that Kukuk's mother had warned about, the one that turned his neatly tended field into a mess after the Lamwiet night, and even stole the corn leaves he had spread on the ground a few days ago. Surely, this cow was caught red-handed stealing the onion leaves today. What a rascal! Seijun said nothing, just watched as Ox 3 tried to defend its warrior's honor there. There's no way it could be accused of stealing from others. Theo, not to be outdone, with Seijin here, it criticized even more fiercely. Our house doesn't throw grass, it's stealing. Seijin was still pondering. After all, the Minotaur was just a cow, just with 2 legs. I wonder if they can plow or dig the ground. Suddenly, Theo interrupted his train of thought, urging Seijin to quickly tell this wretch if he threw the grass away or not. Ox 3 looked pitifully embarrassed when Seijin said no. Of course, I didn't do that. Those are valuable grasses used to cover the ground, keep it moist for the fields. Putting aside the fierce look from earlier, Ox 3, now confused, apologized. I didn't mean to steal it. I didn't know. But Seijin didn't care about the awkwardness. He calmly crossed his arms and demanded 100 dong in compensation. Holding out 5 fingers, Seijin straightforwardly demanded 100 dong. I want to be compensated 100 dong for the mess you made in the field and the stolen grass. Everyone gets hurt. Seijin just wants justice. I don't know where Ox 3 and the Minotaur tribe would get the money to pay him. Ox 3 let out a horrified roar. What? 100 dong as compensation? That's too expensive, Umbo. Is this grass made of gold or something? Despite its protests, Ox 3 didn't resist, its large body sitting helplessly on the ground, now a truly frightening thief, Umbo. Theo raised its voice even louder, continuing to point at Ox 3. Have you understood, Meow? If you've understood, then quickly pay 100 dong as compensation. I don't know if it's a seller or a debt collector acting so aggressively. Seeing Ox 3's confusion only fueled Theo's fire. This guy definitely isn't wealthy. Theo leaped onto Ox 3, meowing continuously. What should we do? This guy looks really poor. Seijin just waited for that, crossing his arms and asking Theo what he thought. If he doesn't have money, can he sell his labor instead? Ox 3 didn't understand, but Theo did. The cat quickly asked, with this body? That's right, Seijin got straight to the point. Come here to work every day, and I'll pay you 1 dong each day to offset your debt. Ox 3 was very surprised, curious. It asked again, do you want me to work here to pay off the debt? Of course, but money isn't important. Mainly Seijin still provides food for it. Do you like onion leaves? I'll give you as much as you want. I'm not a cruel owner who likes to exploit. With Ox 3 still not responding, Seijin had to ask again, what do you think? Even though these are very generous conditions. It growled excitedly, spraying enzymes all over Seijin's face, extremely excited to agree immediately, as long as it could eat. So shall we sign the contract? Seijin smiled at it, starting work from tomorrow. It happily raised its large fingers, nodding in agreement with Seijin immediately. Once the 2 hands held each other, the contract was considered concluded thanks to the recording system. Both sides were happy with their benefits. Only Theo remained clueless and couldn't believe it. So you can use your body to repay debts if you don't have money? Indeed, the chairman is different. I've learned another lesson from Seijin. I wonder if it will force others to use their bodies to repay debts as it learned from Seijin. But now, in Theo's eyes, this method seems effective and strange. So it took out a bird feather pen and a piece of paper to record the cunning trick it had just learned today. So Ox 3 bid farewell, leaving with a bright smile on its face. Seijin succeeded in securing strong labor for farming. How could Seijin ignore Theo's praise? He looked at the encouraging cat. You caught the thief and I found someone to work, all thanks to you. It cuddled up and asked again, do you think I did well? Theo loved being praised and recognized by Seijin. His words could make the cat happy all day long. Unexpectedly, the stingy landlord turned away, saying he would extend the sales quota for this month. Theo was no longer happy. It wanted to enjoy first-class service. Why should it continue selling like this? Theo climbed onto the landlord's leg, stubbornly demanding its rights, making Seijin shout in surprise. Enough. Enough. Just one is enough. Don't stretch it. The next day was another hard-working day, but Seijin was not selling his face to the land anymore, but working vigorously by the water. With Mook on his shoulder, the 2 of them were ready to confront this flying shrimp gang. A few days ago, they only jumped, but today they were flying high above Seijin's head. Mook eagerly jumped off Seijin's shoulder, diving into the midst of the shrimp, slapping them on the face, and in no time, they were scattered on the shore. Lately, Seijin has a lot of free time. No need to deal with them like before, just leisurely on the shore while letting Mook handle them. Looking at the piled-up shrimp on the other side, he deemed it enough for the red bear and its cub, so he stopped. Putting the knife back into its sheath, Seijin couldn't help but praise Mook. You did well. Your skills have been improving significantly lately, it replied proudly, suddenly emitting a strange green light. Isn't that a sign of evolution? This time, Mook evolved on its own, its hammer floating high in the air, shining so bright that nothing else could be seen, then suddenly dimmed. Still a wooden hammer, but with a sharper tip like a chisel. Clearly more lethal, leaving Sejin quite surprised. Even Mook couldn't believe it had acquired another hammer. With the rabbit siblings, Sejin applauded enthusiastically. That's different, isn't it? Didn't expect the skill to level up to 2. Amazing, good job, baby. Proudly hoisting the hammer on its shoulder, enjoying the applause, it confidently gives a thumbs up when Sejin says from now on, it will handle all the shrimp hunting. Skills have improved. It even has combat experience, so Sejin can do other tasks leisurely. The sunlight on his head suddenly darkened because the mother bear appeared. She called Sejin up, looking serious, making him quickly climb up to see what was going on. Sejin didn't understand what the bear mother was saying, so he asked Cook what was happening. The child pointed to something above and told Sejin to look, but he couldn't see anything. Surprisingly, on the rock where Sejin tied the climbing rope, a small beehive had appeared. He had gone up and down countless times, but never noticed it, which startled him. The queen of that hive had to stick her head out to see who was making noise. Unexpectedly, it was its owner. It greeted joyfully and flew over to Sejin, startling him. Approaching, he realized this wasn't the second-generation bee he had raised before. This was their first official meeting. Sejin hugged the queen bee, rubbing its face against his affectionately, continuously asking where it had been. He remembered being designated as its master but couldn't find it, worrying to death. As if answering Sejin's question, the queen bee waved its hand, calling the worker bees to meet their master. He immediately recognized this little one had left to start its own colony, luckily returning safely. Cook saw this bee colony for the first time, eagerly listening to Sejin introduce each other. This is the second-generation queen bee, born not long ago. It hesitantly nestled on Sejin's hat, while Cook's eyes were fixed on it. You must protect it, so the bee will work diligently to bring back more honey, said Cook. The queen bee left Sejin's hat and flew to Cook, rubbing its damp black nose against him. They liked each other a lot, so now there would be a friend for the bear cubs above the den. No need to go down or for the rabbits to come up anymore. The mother bear was also very happy. She wanted her cub to have more friends. Suddenly, Ox 3's heavy black hooves stomped the ground, the sound echoing, making everyone turn to look. Ox 3 cheerfully approached, saying, "I'm here to work." Sejin waved back as it stepped heavily on the ground. Unexpectedly, the red bear's paw slammed down, terrifying Sejin nearly out of his wits. It glared at Ox 3 and roared, warning the stubborn ox not to take another step. Now Ox 3 realized that before him stood the master of the 99th tier forest. It abandoned its earlier cheerful demeanor and became wary. Both sides glared at each other, tension rising, until Sejin intervened, urging them not to fight here. Their grip tightened, adding a sense of fierceness, making the mother bear emit a terrifying aura. Sejin looked at both of them, quickly reaching out to stop them from fighting. But the mother bear paid no attention, determined to see the minotaur as a threat. She forcefully pushed Sejin and her cub back to deal with this big black-haired bull. The loud noise above made Theo and the rabbits poke their heads out of the burrow, wondering what was happening. Normally, the land above was very peaceful. Sejin didn't know what to do, so he quickly grabbed Theo and put him on his shoulder, leading him back to the mother bear to stop them from fighting. Theo clung to Sejin's shoulder, not understanding anything, just seeing him quickly step forward to stop them from fighting. Sejin ran up and shouted loudly, "Red Bear Mom, Minotaur, both of you stop." But their threatening demeanor remained, ignoring Sejin. He stood below, shouting loudly, "Don't fight, Minotaur is here to work, not to be an enemy." The mother bear growled in her throat, her eyes fixed on Ox 3. Theo understood and translated for Sejin. She wants him to return to his cave. She said she couldn't forgive the Minotaur for invading Sejin's territory. Advising the mother bear didn't work, so he tried advising Ox 3. Who would have thought this ox was also under a spell, staring stubbornly at the mother bear, saying, "I am a Minotaur warrior. Avoiding a fight would mean losing all honor." He felt helpless, unable to believe that the protector and the worker were about to fight right on his farm. Cook didn't know what was going on, and now it was even approaching for a reward. Theo neglected the two big guys in front of him, turned around and urged Sejin to scold the ignorant little one. In this tense moment, Aileen sent him a message asking for some snacks to soothe her mouth. He complained that he was busy, and the mother bear and Ox 3 were about to fight. Aileen asked in surprise, "Why is the Minotaur there?" "She wants you to solve that quickly. She's very hungry." Sejin paced back and forth, trying to find a solution, but it wasn't as easy as it sounded. Neither of them cared to listen to him. In the midst of confusion, Cook kept tugging at his clothes, and Theo kept whispering continuously. Sejun's head was throbbing, and before he could think, Ox 3 jumped up with a loud growl. It breathed heavily, ready to fight, but the mother bear showed no fear, roaring loudly to intimidate. Theo felt a chill, suggesting to let the two fight first, then talk afterwards. He urged Sejun to quickly return with him to the den for a nap, but he was too confused, falling into an extreme state of panic. In his ears were Cook demanding food and Theo's incessant meowing. The rabbits beneath his feet kept asking what was happening, the more aggressive ones cursing loudly but only in Pikapi. The text on the status window made him even more furious, constantly urging to find food for the tower manager. Sejun clenched his ears, trying to endure, but it wasn't okay. His face flushed, his whole body trembling as he yelled out loud, "If no one listens to me, I won't give food to anyone." The words shook everyone, successfully pulling the two big ones out of the fiery battle. The mother bear, upon hearing she couldn't eat, turned pale, hesitating immediately, while Ox 3, bewildered, asked again, "What did you say?" "I can't eat." The smaller ones reacted even more violently. Cook and the rabbits screamed in pain. Even Aileen, the tower manager, couldn't believe it, shouting from inside the tower, "No way." Theo reacted the fastest, tears streaming down his back as he clung tightly to Sejun, crying, "I'm sorry, Chairman. I'm sorry. Oh my God, Chairman." Sejun was still very angry, his body tense, staring fiercely at the two giants in front of him as if ready to act. Both of them trembled when they realized their food bowls were knocked over. Indeed, the power of food, it can make people forget everything around them. Remember to subscribe to see the next episode. I'll let you know. Sit down, everyone. Sejun shouted loudly, his face twisted, not caring about the big or small. Anyone who doesn't listen to him won't get along with him. Cook and its mother knelt on the ground, sweating profusely. The Minotaur sat hunched, hands resting on his knees, not daring to make a sound. Everyone looked like students caught playing games instead of going to school. Sejun's yelling silenced even Aileen in the tower. Even though he couldn't see her, she dared not move because she still needed this human to provide food. After some quietness, he warned sternly, "If both of you keep acting up like this, it's not just this season's crops and nearby vegetation that will be affected, but also those around us, like us." After resolving the conflict, Sejun relaxed. He looked at the rabbits beside him and said, "Let's work together to prepare a meal to resolve misunderstandings on both sides." "What kind of food is that?" the rabbits exclaimed in confusion. The happy and eager face of this old farmer, along with the clapping, made everyone understand immediately. "Oh, it's mealtime now. Time to work a bit." Armed with its Incan hammer, its recent upgrades, it charged into the water full of piranhas and river shrimp. Lately, it has been dominating the pond quite well on its own, without needing Sejun's help. On the bank, Liam Rabbit effortlessly cut through the leaves, making them into neat, uniform pieces. The corn was grilled to perfection, emitting a tantalizing aroma. Though tempting to take a bite, the rabbits held back as they were still preparing. Moop Rabbit, with drool dripping, obediently pushed the cart ahead, its younger sibling carrying a large bunch of onions to Sejun, who was cooking. He lit a big fire, sautéing the onions until golden brown, emitting a wonderful fragrance. With the help of the rabbits, quickly on woven trays covered with onion leaves, the grilled corn and the smoked piranha rolled in onions exuded a fragrant smoky smell, accompanied by the side dish of charred onions, making everyone present feel blissful. It looked like a feast fit for royalty, causing both the mother bear and Ox 3 to roar fiercely, almost drooling. The mother bear had tasted some of these dishes before, but never in such a beautifully presented manner. As for Ox 3, needless to say, just the fallen corn leaves made it ecstatic, let alone a feast as grand as this. "What a feast!" Ox 3 exclaimed. Sejun sat watching them eat happily, kindly reminding them to savor it slowly. These dishes were like everyday meals for him and the rabbits, and there was even a tray of grilled corn left for Aileen. Now the tower manager dared not demand anything. They would eat whatever was given, and graciously thanked Sejun. Ox 3 started with some sweeter-than-cane stalks, smiling happily as it reached for the grilled corn, feeling like it was about to touch a dream. Indeed, when dreaming, there must be monsters. The dark red claws of the mother bear suddenly reached within a meter of it, wanting to snatch the corn. So there they were, enjoying their meal. But because they were vying to see who would get the first bite, they turned to grumble at each other, as if they were about to fight. Sejin and the rabbit gang sat quietly, nothing left to say, but silence wouldn't do. Ahem, let's establish some rules. No fighting, or there'll be chaos. While eating, listen up. This is Kuk-Kuk's mother. She protects their fields and caves, along with her son. Kuk-Kuk won't get anything snatched away because it's smaller. It can take whatever it wants. Sejin's introduction sparkled with mischief, while his mother snorted in reluctant acceptance. Sejin, of course, didn't know the name of this jet-black minotaur. It quickly thumped its chest proudly, introducing itself as Ox 3. Minotaur warrior, Ox 3. Alright, Sejin just referred to it as Ox 3, introducing it in turn to the mother bear that from now on, it would handle some of the farm chores. Hearing the mother bear kung once, Sejin had to call them both back and add, "Absolutely no fighting here. If there's fighting, none of you will get to eat anything." Upon hearing no eating, whether it was the courageous mother bear or the honorable warrior ox, both recoiled with embarrassment. Thus, the bear and ox alliance was formed in the blink of an eye. The two of them held hands peacefully, their understanding evident in just a glance. It's all for the cause. No worries about food or clothing. We're one big family. They acted so well that Sejin had to give them a like right away. Locking eyes, not knowing what to do, Theo caught the mother bear's signal, turned back to Sejin, and said, "Boss, look closely. They're holding hands and shaking too." After speaking, Theo sprawled out on Sejin's lap, enjoying being closest to the boss. Ox 3 suddenly remembered it hadn't asked about the fieldwork, so it turned to Sejin and asked, "What should I do?" Sejin affectionately stroked the cat's head, then looked at Ox 3 with a clear expression as if to say, "And you're asking?" He led Ox 3 to a vast area full of stones outside the land near the cave entrance, where nothing but wind and sand could be heard, the sound of sand blowing for miles with nothing but the yellow color of sand. Digging the ground as the Minotaur tribe had done on that Lamnuit day. Ox 3, you just need to flip all the moist soil underneath the surface neatly before lunch. Ox 3 bent down in confusion. Huh, just that and I'll get lunch. Indeed. Sejin nodded. Am I a capitalist exploiting you? What he meant was to finish before lunch, but Ox 3 thought even a big ox like itself couldn't do it quickly, because it had no shovel or anything. Surprisingly, this cow listened to Sejin and nodded, then bowed down to the ground, its nose almost touching as if sniffing something. Sejin suddenly noticed the horns on Ox 3's head suddenly stretched out 10 times longer than before, no longer decorative, but truly curved, sharp, and unbelievably powerful. Before Sejin could ask, Ox 3 plunged its horns straight into the ground, using both its arms and legs to push towards the patch of land in front. By doing so with just one stroke, the surface was thoroughly tilled, efficient and time-saving. Thinking about the delicious hot food waiting for it at lunchtime, Ox 3 enthusiastically tossed sand into the air as if playing a game. Its booming moo echoed, "Food, food. It's almost time to eat. I have to work diligently." Sejin didn't know a minotaur could transform like that. Watching its speed and ability, he was extremely satisfied. From now on, farming on this land would be easy. Before Sejin knew it, Ox 3 had tilled more than 10 meters. He turned back and saw the rabbits had pushed a cart full of onion bulbs, preparing for the new planting season. First, they would plant onion bulbs so they wouldn't have to go into the cave to cut each stalk later. Sejin couldn't understand why he always thought they should plant onions first, perhaps because it was the easiest? After plowing the land, Ox 3 ran over to Kuk-Kuk's place to show off its muscles to the little one, while Sejin and the rabbits planted onion bulbs in the soil. As long as they solved the dry soil issue, planting this with Sejin was extremely easy. All they needed to do was cut down the fresh onion plants to the white root, and over time, the onion shoots would separate from the main stem. So, from one original bulb, they got 2 healthy onion plants. That's also why the rabbits didn't bring up many onion bulbs at first, because later everyone could easily split the root into 2 parts by hand. So they got 2 healthy onion bulbs to plant anew, which was really great. The status window popped up to congratulate Sejin on creating a 200 pyong onion leaf area, equivalent to about 60 square meters, and earning 200 experience points. Thanks to Ox 3's plowing, within just one day, Sejin had obtained many onion bulbs covering an area equivalent to a normal plot of land. He was very excited, thanks to the conditions inside the tower. These onion leaves grew even faster than usual. Full of hope for the future, Sejin knew from now on his fields would expand onto many plots, to the point where they couldn't be counted. If he followed the method of splitting roots like this, from one plant to 2, 2 to 4, then 4 to 16 geometrically. In no time, Seijin would cover the entire land with greenery. Watching the rabbits diligently watering each onion bulb, Seijin realized he still had one more issue to solve before expanding further. That is the issue of water scarcity. The father rabbit tapped its paws on its water container with a contemplative look. Only it and its son had watering cans, but currently, the amount of water from both wasn't enough to cover the area Seijin wanted to expand, or it ran out of water halfway like the Sahara Desert. This was also Seijin's biggest concern. In that container, yet there was a limit to the amount of water. With that amount of water, it couldn't possibly irrigate the entire new field. What about expansion? While worrying and thinking, suddenly Seijin noticed the father rabbit's entire body was enveloped in a familiar faint light. The father rabbit noticed this. It was so happy it laughed heartily. Finally, its moment had come. Unveil! The grayish watering can it brought from the first day it met Seijin had transformed into a shining, golden 9999 can. The father rabbit was very happy. It had finally leveled up. Oh my god! Not only did its color change, but it also grew bigger. Seijin couldn't believe a water can could change its appearance like this. It was unbelievable. Seijin just stared at the father rabbit in astonishment. A few days ago, ink leveled up. Congratulations! At this coincidental moment, is it because you continuously repeated it until reaching the limit of the object? Seeing the rabbit shaking the can, Seijin nervously asked how it felt. Did the amount of water increase? Proudly raising two tiny fingers, it cheerfully piped up, meaning the amount of water doubled. Both the father rabbit and Seijin were overjoyed. Let's continue expanding the onion fields. The father and son rabbits eagerly piped in response. Now that we have water, let the kids take care of it. Several days passed on Seijin's field. Ox 3 finished eating and lay down, seemingly forgetting about the Minotaur King waiting for it, wondering why it took so long. The sky inside the tower was comfortable, like early summer weather, always cool and full of breeze with greenery. Today was the first time Seijin put the golden-furred baby rabbits in a backpack to take them to the surface to see around. These kids were excited about everything, not afraid at all, looking around as soon as they left the place. Cook and Theo had been waiting for a long time. Seijin only introduced him as the big red bear, because Theo was already familiar with the kids. Cook acted like a big brother. He slowly approached the kids, then bent his nose close to them to sniff, as if trying to figure out what this cute little thing was. After counting the number, Cook found them adorable. He couldn't resist sticking his tongue out and licking the wet golden fur. The kids screamed, thinking a monster was attacking. The red tongue of the bear was as big as a rabbit itself. It was the first time they had seen something so big, so they got excited. However, they gathered aside without seeing anything dangerous, just a wet red tongue rubbing against their golden fur. The kids suddenly found it fun and wanted to play more. They all jumped on Cook, making him fall back and laugh heartily. His large body became a playground for the little ones to romp around. Seeing them getting along like that made Seijin very happy. Cook seems to know how to take care of the kids. With him around, the farming work would be easier because these golden rabbits are busy playing. They won't disturb their parents working. But Theo didn't think so. It crossed its arms, puffed its cheeks, then snorted loudly. With a smirk, the cat said, "Why worry? It's just the bear, right? I'm Theo, always here." To prove its appeal, it walked towards the forest area, waving to the kids to come with it. Uncle Theo will take the kids to explore outside the cave. The golden ones lying on the smooth red fur, it sounded good, but they were too engrossed in the new toy, the red bear, to care about Theo's advertised adventure. They rolled around on Cook, completely ignoring Theo, making it sadly whimper. Meow, why did they forget about me? Theo's world seemed to crumble. Just the other day they were clinging to it. Now they forgot about it. Seijin wasn't too surprised. Kids quickly get bored and grow up fast. Today they like this, tomorrow they like that. It's normal. But Theo was upset. It slammed its fist on the imaginary ground. I've raised them. Why are they being so indifferent now? Seeing the cat crying so pitifully, Seijin approached and lifted it to comfort it, so Theo wouldn't lose any more weight from crying. Now, sit on the president's lap and have some soup as a reward. Seijin knew only these privileges could calm Theo down. Indeed, the player had been defeated. It begrudgingly accepted sitting on Seijin's lap and eating the soup reward. By the way, Thungmyo, Seijin suddenly remembered, Isn't it time for Theo to go down to the lower floors to trade? The cat has been in the cave for a few days and forgot about that. Now that Sejun mentioned it, it lost interest altogether. It dropped the soup tube, saying it couldn't go anymore. Its hesitation and Sejun's surprise seemed unrelated. After a while, Theo decided it had to tell Sejun. The red bear played various tricks with the rabbits, looking peaceful and happy. Who knows if it accidentally stepped on any of the golden fur in there? Sejun, surprised, asked Theo, "A pack of wolves is after you because of this straw hat?" "Exactly, human." It didn't ask Sejun what was wrong with this hat. It just told me not to risk going down for them to catch. Now it's chaotic downstairs. Nowhere to go. Sejun pondered for a while and found nothing, then took off the straw hat, wondering why they were after it. This is artificial, isn't it? Although it has good effects, only farmers need it. According to Theo, those seeking it are not farmers. What do they need it for? Sejun put the hat on, suddenly thinking maybe there are farmers on other floors, but that's not something to worry about. Sejun calmly told Theo not to worry. "I have a solution. Stick your thumb out for the cat to see the credibility level." Sejun really came up with a way to help Thungmyo travel confidently. Theo widened its eyes in surprise. Did he just say there's a way? What's the plan? It genuinely wants to know because this face is confused enough. Suddenly, Sejun asked, "Theo, can you hire mercenaries? Can you hire an ox 3 like people hire mercenaries?" At first, the cat was surprised. Then it realized this idea was okay, so it tightened its whiskers excitedly, saying, "Sure, that sounds good. I'm in." Mercenaries are a job only those born in the tower can take, like wandering merchants, not applicable to adventurers from outside. According to the agreement between the Free Mercenary Association and the Wandering Merchant Association, freelance mercenaries can use merchant routes by paying. In addition, non-mercenaries can also use this method if they are temporarily hired as freelance mercenaries at the request of a wandering merchant. Sejun continued, "I wish I could become a freelance mercenary too. But unfortunately, like wandering merchants, only those born in the tower can do that job." Theo nodded approvingly at Sejun's good memory, saying he was right. But it wondered if Ox 3 would agree to be a mercenary. Despite looking quite gentle, it's still a creature from the 99th floor after all. "Ah." Sejun quickly responded with a way. "If Ox 3 escorts Theo as a freelance mercenary, I'll pay 3 times the daily work fee, 3 tower coins each day." The cat jumped onto Sejun's thigh, took off its hat, and touched his hair. Worriedly, it asked if Sejun was a genius. His mind was extraordinary. "I've never thought of that." He pulled out a treat for the cute and understanding kitten and put the hat back on his head. Of course, Theo didn't refuse. It hugged the treat and enjoyed it. Little did it know Sejun was thinking a lot about it. He planned to use Ox 3 as an example in the future. Outside Sejun's farm, sand blew through the area full of dry rocks, eerily silent. From behind a rock, Ox 3 peeked out, cautious. And as it feared, from behind a boulder, a minotaur stomped down heavily. Someone asked, "Hey, Ox 3, what are you doing?" Approaching, the minotaur frowned, saying she'd been looking for him for 3 days. Clearly a familiar face, but Ox 3 panicked. It felt like it got caught stealing, stumbling to explain. "Moo, go somewhere else." The odd look in Ox 4's eyes was like saying, "Hey, I'm suspicious. Let me see where you're suspicious." Ox 4 leaned in, asking if it was secretly eating grass somewhere. "Moo." Ox 3's face turned paler by the moment, unable to say anything. So Ox 4 grabbed its shoulder and shook it vigorously, as if trying to shake its brains out. "Speak up. What is it? Whatever you're eating, take me there to eat with you." It struggled to say, "There's nothing at all. It's all just nonsense." Unable to pry information from Ox 3, Ox 4 bluntly said, "I can see from your face what's going on. The leader is looking for you. I'll report everything I saw today." Seeing no way out, Ox 3 sighed and said, "Fine, I'll tell you." Satisfied, Ox 4 cheered and then set off, following it back towards the prehistoric cave. On the way, Ox 3 cautiously warned, "I'll take you there, but you have to be quiet. It's a secret." Being led to food was fine. Ox 4 agreed cheerfully. So both of them traversed the dry, rocky land and dense forest without saying a word, startling Sejun. He and the chubby cat had just swung up on the vine and were sweating from what they saw. Beside Ox 3 was a brown-skinned minotaur staring at him. Ox 3 sweated as if it had done something wrong, and it had to stop. It was risking its meal for this kid. Sejun regained his composure, stepping forward and recognizing it was also a minotaur. He asked what was going on. Did it bring its friend here? The friendly cow raised her hand. "Hi there, I'm Ox 4. Are you the one who will give us food if we plow the fields?" So, it seems the whole story has been told. Seijin glanced at Ox 3 and saw its helpless expression, asking if he could let his friend work here too. If not, it would cause trouble. Moo. This came suddenly. Seijin crossed his arms and thought for a moment. Because farming wasn't urgent enough to warrant an extra mouth to feed, he didn't need another worker now. He turned to Ox 4, saying he would let her work here, but there's a matter that needs assistance. She agreed immediately, asking what it was about. Seijin pointed to the kitten on his shoulder and said, "Our esteemed traveling merchant, Theo, is being threatened by a pack of wolves. If you can escort Theo as a freelance mercenary, I'll pay triple the daily wage, 3 tower coins. How about that?" The cat gave a pleading look, saying this sounded a bit complicated. However, Ox 4 immediately refused, with an unhappy expression, saying she didn't like doing that. Looking up in surprise, Seijin asked why. She had just said she wanted to work. She looked very troubled, slowly explaining that she couldn't eat tower coins. Seijin and Theo were puzzled by what the cow had just said. Why would she say she couldn't eat tower coins? Who could eat that anyway? However, Seijin didn't ask much, only asking, "What if I give you 3 meals a day and snacks during breaks?" Ox 4 squeezed his hand in agreement immediately. "I'm a simple person. Whoever gives me food, I'll work." Seeing that job was better than plowing fields, Ox 3 clumsily joined in. "I want to go too." Aha! Seijin immediately understood these guys would do anything for food. He crossed his arms with the air of a patron, agreeing to let Ox 3 come along. 2 people would surely seem more reliable than 1. To show his generosity, Seijin put his hands on his hips and declared he would pack some food for all of them to use on the road. They haven't even started working yet, and they already have food. Both Ox 3 and Ox 4 excitedly asked, "Is it true?" Ox 4 was so happy that she rushed over to her friend, hugging him tightly, thanking him for introducing her to such a wonderful place. Suddenly feeling like a hero, he smirked proudly, enjoying the embrace from Ox 4. He said he was also happy to have her join. Oh la la, what kind of romantic movie is this? Seijin found it amusing watching one express affection for food, while the other blushed from being able to give food. Don't tell me these two are turning into a Korean drama just because of his family's 3 meals. Today, Seijin didn't work under the cave. He decisively cut through the onion leaves grown above for the whole session, finally harvesting a large pile in front of him. The entire area of the onion field above has been neatly harvested, but the young man is still wondering if this is enough? He meant if it's enough for the big mouths of those 2 tall cows. Theo carried its space backpack and asked again, "Chairman, should I put all of this in the bag? There's a lot in this pile. Is it enough?" Seijin asked as if there's no more room for tomatoes. Theo proudly swung its bag open, which looked like a dark-colored cloth, and then threw it onto the pile of onion leaves. It floated up like a normal piece of fabric being thrown, but when it reached the top, it transformed into a drawstring bag, sucking all the onion leaves inside, looking no different from the alms bowl in Journey to the West. Looking at it neatly falling into Theo's hand, Seijin marveled, "Scarred more things today than before?" Only waited for him to ask this question. It raised its claws to adjust the newly changed merchant badge, still fresh on its neck. Confidently introducing, "That's right, because I've become a mid-tier traveling merchant. Merchant Meow Theo here." With the promotion, the storage capacity of the bag has also increased accordingly. This is new. The mid-tier traveling merchant title? It seems like the badge on your chest changed color, Theo, right? It angrily meowed, scolding its master for not paying attention, only now noticing. All right, Seijin lifted the cat up and rubbed its cheek to soothe it. No matter what tier of merchant, you still, so get ready quickly. Seeing the cat hugging its cheeks, Seijin said, "Hey, I have a gift I want to send to the family. Do you know how to do it?" Theo smartly raised 2 thumbs up, showing that of course it knew how. Just leave it to it. With the 2 towering mercenaries unafraid of anyone, Theo, a petite figure, waved goodbye to Seijin fervently with half a foot. He escorted them all the way to the edge of the forest, cheerfully calling after them, "Take care of yourselves, Ox 3 and Ox 4. Remember to protect Theo." Saying goodbye to the merchant group, including the rabbit family. Apart from Pee-Pee, they couldn't say anything, just stood waving to keep up the momentum. Suddenly, Seijin had a dare, saying it made Muck startled. The 2 cows probably won't eat because they're out of onion leaves, right? Suddenly, he felt worried for his chubby cat. The merchant lane was as busy as usual, bustling with people coming and going. Nearby, there's also a resting area, now illuminated by lights from the windows. Below, many merchants are tidying up their belongings, preparing to enter the tunnel. The wolf den has been waiting here for quite some time. Elke even bought food to bring to the chief, who is waiting sleepily on the balcony. Elke asked how much money he had left, only to be informed that it was almost all gone, boss. Turning to where Elke was watching the crowd below, Elke told him to take a chicken leg to eat, but he refused, saying he wasn't in the mood. Chief Elke, how much longer do we have to stay here? I'm tired of standing here day after day watching people go. We go back to the 85th floor. Seeing his despondency, Elke shouted straight into his face, making him stunned. What nonsense are you talking about? Aren't you thinking about our tribe slowly starving, waiting for us on the 85th floor? Elke roared with threats. If we fail this mission, we won't receive food from Mr. Grid. The survival of the entire tribe depends on it. Elke was about to cry, apologizing profusely to the chief, begging him not to be angry anymore. Release Elke. Elke sighed deeply, swallowing his anger. Elke, with both hands holding 3 chicken legs, didn't know what to say. So having food would bring enlightenment. It handed a golden chicken leg to the sobbing Elke. This is a precious delicacy bought with the tribe's pooled money, given to us for our mission. You need strength. After soothing Elke, Elke turned to the chief, holding out a chicken leg. Even if you're angry, you have to eat a piece. How could you resist? While speaking, suddenly Elke sensed something approaching, his face becoming tense. Growling, Elke jumped onto the balcony railing and looked down below, ignoring the other two. Because Elke had sensed the merchant cat he had been searching for days, finally it appeared, still excited, as if unaware of being hunted. The chief growled, determined to obtain information about the straw hat, no matter what. Before the wolf clan could descend to investigate, there was a continuous buzz of other merchants below, mainly expressions of astonishment and concern. They only reached the knees of the Minotaur, standing cautiously from behind, not daring to approach. They must know this is the route of the merchant travelers. Minotaurs have never had a history of being merchant travelers, so why are they here? Ox 3 and Ox 4 seemed not to care about those curious looks, quickly following Theo inside. Hey, do you think what I'm thinking? Oh my god, I've never seen a Minotaur appear here before. Of course, this is the first time I've encountered a monster from the 99th floor. The two of them whispered, wondering which merchant traveler has the power to hire a Minotaur as a mercenary. Surely that must be a great merchant. I'm very curious to know who it is. Suddenly, from below came the proud question of a cat. Are you looking for me? They startled, looking down to see a proud ginger cat placing its paw on its badge, then asked, Huh? Thung Meo Traveler, what are you doing here? Theo waited until this moment to confidently introduce himself. I am Thung Meo Traveler Theo, who has hired Mr. Minotaur as a freelance mercenary for myself. It couldn't help but laugh happily, feeling great to declare itself as the big boss. The suspicious dogs asked again, Are you the one who hired us? Is Theo your real name? It sounds strange. I've never heard that name before. Hey, little one, don't talk nonsense. Theo angrily meowed loudly, then turned his head back and shouted, Ox 3, Ox 4, come here quickly. We must make these two dogs impressed, or they'll say I'm lying. Unexpectedly, the two strong Minotaurs had disappeared without a trace, leaving only an empty space in front of Theo. Only now did he panic and shout, Where did they go? How could the opportunity to prove himself as a Thung Meo traveler disappear like this? To attract the attention of the two neglected oxen, it must be food. Ox 4 stepped closer to a vegetable stall of a trembling little mouse, peering nervously against the wall, gazing fixedly at it, eagerly calling Ox 3 to come and see. What strange grass is this? Even Ox 3, looking at it, started drooling heavily, praising how delicious it looked. Ox 4 asked in a low voice, Do you sell this? But despite this friendly demeanor, it still frightened the trembling mouse, clasped her hands, trembling and begging, Spare me, sirs. Please don't eat me. Theo saw the two of them here and immediately rushed over, shouting, Why are you here? We've been searching everywhere for you. They turned back to look at Theo, who was so angry he held his hands to his hips and shouted, Hey, aren't you two supposed to be mercenaries, protecting me, but standing here? Ox 3 apologized, embarrassed, saying they found this and couldn't resist coming. Theo asked softly, Oh really? Time coming to the traveler's village? Ox 3 scratched it that it was indeed his first time here. To be honest, no Minotaur has ever left the 99th floor. Many strange things to see here. Remembering this, Ox 3 eagerly asked, Why is this place called the Merchant Path? Isn't it that the tower's pathways are meant born inside the tower to use? Why are there only traveler merchants here? Knowledgeable, folding his arms and asking, "So you really don't know anything because you've never left the 99th foot? You're just country bumpkins." As he was about to explain, Theo suddenly saw some wooden barrels piled nearby. He had a brilliant idea and leaped onto 1, 2, 3 of the crates, stopping at the tallest one, mainly to shorten the height difference with these two minotaurs, to begin his speech. "Ahem, middle-level traveling merchant Theo is here, and I'd like to to you all from A to Z. Once upon a time, long ago, all the pathways of this tower were designed to branch out like branches of a tree, the first floor to the 99th. They branched out from a main trunk, taking people to every desired floor, providing equal access to every nook and cranny of the tower. However, because there are so many pathways, no one knows which are safe and which are dangerous. Just like the floors inside the tower, where every has its own dangerous monsters. On the leading to the towers, it's the same. No one knows which routes aren't occupied by monsters, so traveling wasn't as simple as it is now. At that time, the greatest traveling merchant, who later founded the Traveling Merchant Association, organized the pathways with their own forces. They gathered strong individuals capable of fighting to eliminate obstacles on dangerous paths, selecting safe routes for travel. The Free Mercenary Association, which later became the tower's main force, participated according to the tower's magical history. Both sides agreed on many issues to minimize danger, working together to create safe paths. They provided the necessary resources and manpower to manage these pathways, such as equipment and personnel from the Association for Exploration, Trade, supporting in planning and implementation. However, since these paths were managed by the Traveling Merchant Association, called the Traveling Path, Theo proudly displayed his identity as a traveling cat, concluding with a statement for his audience. Ox 3 and Ox 4 clapped and praised incessantly, then asked further, impressed, "How did you, Theo, know all of this?" He smirked, disappear the feathered necks altogether. He said, "These are basic information that any middle-level traveling cat would know. Actually, that story is on the new Traveling Merchant Handbook." Theo chuckled inwardly, grateful that he had taken the time to read that book, to smoothly recount the story now. As I said, the residents of this tower can use the pathways, but there are also paid pathways reserved for traveling merchants, like shortcut routes. Ox 3 listened attentively, extending his hand to Theo, and again, "Those paid pathways?" The stray cat jumped onto the large hand, nodding in confirmation. "We can only use these ways because I am a traveling cat." Theo continued to explain that it will take a lot of time. This traveler's village is located at the center of where the toll roads converge. Theo jumped down, preparing to move, telling the Minotaurs they only need to go to the 38th floor. "So we will take the paid path to go down to the 40th floor, then to the regular route to descend further." Ox 3 admitted it sounded complicated, but with Theo's experience trading tomatoes for Sejin's bourgeoisie, he trusted Theo. It waved its hand in a, "I know, it's let's focus on what's important now" manner. It extended its hand, happily suggesting that because complicated, let's go eat now. Right after hearing the story, being able to go eat immediately, of course, these two were okay right away, showing undisguised excitement. Hands clenched tightly, drooling a little more. Ox 3 and Ox 4 followed Theo into an alley of the traveler's village to replace selling its favorite fish dish. Because Theo doesn't eat greens, but Theo will eat anything, so they don't mind. The cat was too focused on the path to the fish restaurant to notice a wolf had leaped from the railing above, extending paws intending to grab it since when. By the time it realized, the wolf was very close. Theo couldn't run away, just meowed once in a low voice, a massive wolf figure crashing to the ground. Its front paws slammed down on either side of Theo with a loud thud, causing it to stand up with all its fur right into the wolf's strike zone. Elka, upon seeing it, growled fiercely and menacingly, identifying Theo as the traveling cat. Theo collapsed onto its pudgy four legs, its body huddled up, trembling incessantly. Sweat poured out as it realized this wolf that had blocked its path before. Startled, Theo realized it was afraid of them. Ox 3 swung a strong fist just as Elka aggressively demanded, "Answer me now, where did you get that hat?" Despite the intense questioning, Ox 3's punch hit the ground with a loud crack. Elka managed to jump aside successfully. Using all four claws to grip the ground to prevent slipping, its eyes fiercely, never leaving its opponent. Recognizing its attacker, it warily and anxiously, a minotaur. If that punch, I'd be lying in bed for half a month. Ox 3 lifted his hand from the sunken ground, not bothering to explain, staring at the wolf and asked, "Who are you?" Theo quickly shouted out, pointing in that direction, shouting loudly, "It's him! It's his jerk was the one who chased me the other day." So this is the person the Minotaur was hiding Theo from being attacked by. Ox 3 squinted at it and said, "Then let's deal with it right away. With two oxen here, not afraid they can't handle this wolf." Before they could act, Elko and Elkai jumped down from this moment, shouting, "Chief!" They saw the danger and intended to attack Ox 3 from above, but surprisingly, compared to their muscular bodies, it was right under the feet of the two wolves, clenching its hand into a fist, about to punch their little feet. Its eyes gleaming, Ox 4 punched the two puppies with extreme satisfaction. Ox 4 seemed thrilled because it hadn't used its strength in a while, punching both of them away to lie still in a corner. Elka, the tribe leader, shouted anxiously from afar, unable to rush over. With the first blow leaving opponents in such a state, Ox 4 clenched its fist excitedly to ask them, "So there are still two puppy dogs following you?" With this look, even if there were 20 more, it would still be fine. Turning to Ox 3, it instructed to protect Theo carefully, leaving these to it. Ox 3 held the tiny cat in its two hands as if to protect it. "Okay, let my teammates handle it," but Theo crawled out from there worriedly. Hey, is it okay for Ox 4 to handle it alone? After all, there are also 3 of them over there." Ox 3 laughed heartily. "Didn't you remember why we brought these? These are monsters from the highest floor, floor 99. These little dogs are no match, don't worry." And more importantly, Ox 3 admired with his eyes, pampering Ox 4. Softly, Ox 4's voice is even stronger than mine. "Oh la la, don't think Theo doesn't understand what the red signal on that black fur means." Its tail wagged lightly, and it roared once then cheered loudly. "Ox 4, don't kill them right away." Indeed, with such backup, Theo's loud voice made Ox 4 very excited. She trod briskly back to the wolves, clasping her hands together and cracking her knuckles, grinning and saying she hadn't tried it yet, so she didn't know if it would work. Elka ran over to where her 2 younger siblings were supporting each other, all 3 glaring at Ox 4 approaching them. But her punch still had quite an effect. Supporting the 2 wolves to stand up was extremely difficult. Elka asked if they were okay, but it looked not easy at all with the wolf pack. "What now, tribe leader?" The little ones looked at Elka, still helpless, knowing they didn't have much chance of winning, but making a bold and firm decision. "We can't retreat. We won't have another chance if this traveling cat is lost." So all 3 wolves got into a ready-to-fight stance. Elka silently led the way, calling her 2 younger siblings. "We'll all charge together to handle that black ox at once." The traveling merchant on the path has all fled. Only Ox 4 stood confidently, looking at the threatening wolves, still relaxed, inviting them to come if they think they can handle it. Outside the violence, the prehistoric cave remained peaceful under the warm sunlight. The sound of the comb brushing through the fur sounded really sleepy, and indeed it made Mup the rabbit very sleepy. Thanks to Liat the rabbit's grooming, it had just had a good nap, now waking up and chirping happily, thankful. But that wasn't scratching, it was Liat's grooming technique to beautify the fur. Now reaching a new height, the rabbits and Sajin were highly praised. He handled the excess fur from Mup to Mup. Each of them got a new fur coat, looking extremely beautiful. Now it's Sajin's turn. He wrapped his own blanket around his shoulders, closed his eyes, waiting for Liat the rabbit to style his hair. Lately I haven't been comfortable because my long hair is like a forest man's, poking into my eyes. Just cut it a little shorter for me, little brother. Leave it all to you. Liat the rabbit made a reliable sound, ready to work. Then suddenly the red bear behind sniffed and exhaled a breath. Because it was curious and wanted to come closer to see, it didn't expect its breath to tickle Liat the rabbit's nose. It snorted a few times, shook its body, then sneezed loudly, making its normally open eyes now tightly closed. When it opened its eyes, it suddenly saw a small white hole in Sajin's black hair. It seems that Liat the rabbit accidentally cut from the root to the tip during the sneeze. Where did the hair go? Both Cook and Liat the rabbit stared at it, their throats tightened without making a sound, because Sajin seemed unaware of anything. He closed his eyes in anticipation, submerged in happiness, soon to have a cool, new farmer's hairdo. Tribe leader Elka's decision was made. We can't retreat. If we miss Theo here, we won't have any more chances. So all three of them bowed their bodies, front and back legs together, following the tribe leader's command. Elko and Elki will charge together. Ox 4 seemed unnecessary to go on the defensive, standing aside, watching the wolves crouch on the ground, the smile on its lips unchanged. To be honest, it's been a while since she got to punch anyone. Using her strong legs, the three wolves sprinted, gathering momentum towards Ox 4. Suddenly, Elka's foot shot up. Her body quickly appeared right above Ox 4's head, ready to descend. At this moment, she slightly turned her body, clenched her fist, her eyes glaring sharply at the enemy without any relent. However, Elka didn't land on Ox 4, but the tribe leader only attracted attention so Elki could move closer to the lower part of Ox 4. Surprised by the unexpected strategy, Ox 4 couldn't react in time, seeing Elki open its mouth wide to bite at her, as it could only raise its right arm for it to bite. With both sides locked in place, it was the perfect opportunity. Elka jumped down with her claws ready to strike. However, the tribe leader didn't play face-scratching games like a cat, but instead, her fingers grasped the right horn of Ox 4 tightly, squeezing it, causing her pain. Holding onto it as a fulcrum, Elka twisted her body in mid-air, placing one hand on the firm neck, using both hands to pull it taut to expose the neck, then biting into it with all her strength, without hesitation. With three wolves controlling her, according to the plan, when Elka released her mouth, blood from the carotid artery would gush out in a stream, and the prey would struggle for a few seconds, then die. The scenario was correct, but what Elka didn't anticipate was that her teeth couldn't penetrate that warm blood vessel. It started to feel strange. The Minotaur's skin was so tough that her teeth couldn't pierce it, using all her strength to bite and gnaw, but it was ineffective. Ox 4, feeling her helplessness, lowered her head slightly and asked, somewhat surprised, the young wolf, "A Minotaur's skin can't be torn so easily, just so you know." As she finished her sentence, she suddenly swung her left fist at Elki, who was biting her right arm, right in front of the horrified eyes of tribe leader Elka. The direct punch was powerful, making the small one's nose bleed. She released Ox 4's arm, immediately crying out in pain. And to make matters worse, she easily grabbed the collar of her shirt with her hand, her body curving. Ox 4 straightened up and threw Elki forward. The little one collided with a pile of stacked wood, crying out in pain, to the point where Elko quickly released Ox 4's leg and turned towards that direction, shouting his brother's name. A moment of vulnerability meant receiving an immediate kick. Ox 4 angrily kicked straight into the wolf's abdomen. The force was so strong that she had to double over, absorbing the blow, then in no time was kicked far away, lying on her back without moving. Now only Elka, who was hanging on Ox 4's back, was also easily lifted by her. She clenched her teeth tightly, trying to tear the cow's skin, but couldn't, her mind filled with worry that she would defeat Elko and Elki with just one blow. She mustn't let go. But her limbs and jaws full of teeth still couldn't terrifying strength of Ox 4. She dragged Elka down and threw her forcefully onto the ground, to the point where the wolf could lying there moaning in pain. At this moment, the tribe leader of the wolf tribe was as a puppy lying on its back. One of Ox 4's hands pressed Elka down, the other clenched into a fist, swinging at the speed of a ritual preparation to crush her mouth. Elka, her heart's voice faltering, "No." Just before death was imminent, it suddenly remembered its grandfather wolf, old and gentle, wrapped tribe's cloth, calling it affectionately, "Elka, listen carefully. We are a purebred silver wolf tribe. When we die and become spirits, we become one of the spirits protecting our tribe. We are much stronger than all other tribes, and we can also improve our tracking and hunting abilities by inheriting protection and will of our ancestors. The next generation inherits the essence from the previous generation and subdues larger, fiercer prey." At that time, Elka was still young, understanding little, but still remembered the warm hand shoulder when her grandfather mentioned, "Our honor is also that of our ancestors. We must behave properly and live with pride." His words were so gentle that a wolf like Elka eagerly listened. To not destroy the honor of the ancestors who have paved the way, one day we will all have an answer. As for what to answer, little Elka wasn't sure. She just knew it and followed the teachings obediently. With her tiny fist clenched tightly, Elka replied, "Yes, sir, for the honor of our ancestors." And as time passed, it became increasingly harsh, until a child full of faith like Elka looked at the cracked land devoid of any water. if it would ever find an answer for itself. Since childhood, the tribe had been debating the prolonged famine, the food gradually scarce to an unbelievable extent. The Western tribe plundered and massacred each other too. Then one night, Elka's tiny village was attacked by another pack of wolves. They killed and set to large fires to destroy the camp. Elka watching her grandfather being killed. Her father tried to kill him out from the raging sea of fire. Elka's father had inherited the position of tribal chief not long ago. The people crowded in to question him. Is it true that you are working for greed? Aren't you ashamed, ancestors? Are they watching us? Yes, how can we the leadership of that lowly boar? You're the first to do this. The loud the tribal chief silenced everyone. Elka remembered her father pushing her back to see his helpless face when he spoke to the people. We have no other choice. If we can survive until tomorrow, is the time to think about the children. Elka's father stroked the head of his little son, in pain, but still speaking. For the sake of our children, and in our honor,